Hannity, and yeah, tonight we're broadcasting from the sewer, the swamp, Washington, D.C. Tonight we have major breaking news for all of you. Disgraced Deputy FBI Director Andrew McCabe is out at the FBI, and Fox News is now being told he was removed from that post. Now, Sarah Carter also is here with breaking news. Sources tonight telling her that McCabe's exit is just the beginning of more resignations, firings to come at the FBI. And also breaking this hour, this is huge, the House Intelligence Committee has voted to publicly release the classified memo. Release the memo. We've been telling you all week that shows severe FISA abuse against members of the Trump campaign. Now, the president now needs to give final approval before you can see it. All of that plus a Hannity expose into just how deeply corrupt and dishonest and conspiratorial the destroy Trump media really is. They have been lying to you, the American people, for over a year while ignoring a mountain of evidence of wrongdoing and corruption in what is one of the biggest scandals in American history. That is tonight's breaking news, all-important opening monologue, a busy hour. All right, we start tonight with a massive shakeup at the FBI. Fox News now reporting that Deputy Director Andrew McCabe has now been removed from his position at the Bureau. And this is very important. The timing of McCabe leaving the Bureau comes just hours after the FBI director went to Capitol Hill to view the classified memo detailing Obama administration FISA abuses against the Trump campaign. And remember, the Daily Beast is reporting that McCabe, James Comey, and Rod Rosenstein are all named in this 4-page document. And other reporting now suggesting the FBI director, Christopher Wray, was concerned about an upcoming Inspector General report on the actions of McCabe and other top FBI officials during the 2016 election. Now, McCabe being shown the door is long overdue, and our sources are now saying tonight that his exit is just the opening salvo in what is a much bigger scandal that will be unfolding in the days and weeks and months ahead. Now, here's why. Current and former FBI officials are telling Sarah Carter tonight, she'll join us in a minute, that McCabe, quote, quitting is the beginning of more resignations that will be coming. Now, before we detail why McCabe deserved to be removed, I want to be very, very clear tonight, especially to the destroy Trump media, the political bias and corruption that we are now detailing at the FBI and the Department of Justice and in the intelligence community, we have all been reporting on. It has nothing to do with rank and file members. Those people work tirelessly to keep us safe. They deserve the utmost praise and support, which we give them on a daily basis. And who we are focusing on here is key. We're exposing what is a rogue group of unelected deep state bureaucrats that have been trying to disrupt our democratic republic and our system. Andrew McCabe is one of those people. Now, here's what we know about him and why it was about time he was removed. McCabe lied in terms of the corrupt Clinton email investigation. That we know was for show. In other words, it was rigged. The fix was in. It was a total sham. He oversaw Trump-hating FBI agent Peter Strzok's work on the Russia investigation. Fox News has reported that McCabe is thought to have been the central point of contact for handling that Clinton bought and paid for phony, salacious Russian dossier. And according to the Wall Street Journal, McCabe ordered FBI agents to stand down on an investigation into the Clinton Foundation. Now, remember, McCabe's wife, his wife's name is Jill. She took $700,000 in campaign contributions from a super PAC tied to the Clintons and their ally, Terry McAuliffe, former governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia from Virginia Democrats in her failed state Senate run. And finally, Trump-bashing FBI lovers, right there, Strzok and Page. They texted, remember, about the insurance policy that they talked about with Andy, we believe is Andrew McCabe, in case Donald Trump actually won the election, which they didn't think was going to happen. Now, McCabe is tied to literally every single instance of corruption, of abuse of power at the FBI that we are exposing. He should have been fired or should have resigned a long time ago. Now, the top ranks of the FBI need to be cleaned out, and McCabe is just a good start. Now, we also have huge developments tonight. The House Intelligence Committee tonight has voted along party lines. They are releasing to the public that classified 4-page memo that details massive FISA abuses against the Trump campaign. Now, no Democrats voted yes. The reason is simple. They do not want you to know the truth. Now, President Trump now has 5 days to approve the release so you, the American people, can see it. And my sources are telling me tonight that the matter is being taken very seriously at the White House. It will be thoroughly reviewed in the next 48 hours. And while the president believes in transparency, he will be deliberative in this process. Until that happens and we can see it all for ourselves, here's what we know about the document and why this is so important. Remember, the Daily Beast reported that Andrew McCabe, James Comey, Rod Rosenstein are all named in this memo. And other reporting says that Rosenstein, well, was the official that approved the warrants to spy, or at least extended them on the Trump campaign, supposedly under the pretext of looking at Carter Page. Now, members of Congress that have seen this memo, they have called it shocking, alarming, and said it literally mirrors KGB-style tactics. Now, members are also saying it could cause many people to go to jail, and it could lead to the end of the Mueller investigation. It is that serious that we're being told it exposes severe and massive constitutional violations of our Fourth Amendment, privacy rights, massive FISA abuses. Now, this is a major development, and those of you out there that called Congress and tweeted and texted and put notes on Facebook and Instagram to release the memo, tonight, you should be very happy because you, the American people, deserve to know about these abuses. Now, we're going to have all the details, of course, as soon as we get them. Now, also breaking this hour, all right, we have a news media in this country that is obsessed with calling one of the biggest scandals in American history that we have been following, that has a mountain of evidence and a mountain of facts supporting it. Well, they're trying to dismiss it as some kind of conspiracy. By the way, the same media, ironically, that has been pushing what is baseless, black helicopter, tinfoil hat, conspiracy theories about so-called Trump-Russia collusion for over a year. The difference is we have evidence, they have none whatsoever. Now, in case the liberal media has forgotten, well, we put this little montage together to remind them. Take a look.
We are looking at the possibility that the President of the United States and those around him during an election campaign colluded with a hostile foreign power to undermine the basis of our democracy.
Donald Trump is afraid. A political hurricane is out there at sea for him. We'll call it Hurricane Vladimir, if you will, the whole Russian thing.
This is evidence of willingness to commit collusion.
There's outright treason. I mean, there is no question that what he is doing is giving aid and comfort to the enemy.
This cloud about collusion with Russia will hang over him no matter where he stands.
It certainly feels like we're in the opening stages of a devastating political chapter in American history.
Tom Friedman said the election hacking is at the caliber of a Pearl Harbor or a 9/11. Do you agree with that?
I completely agree with that.
Donald Trump now sits at the threshold of impeachment.
You told the Washington Post last week that, quote, there's a smell of treason in the air when it comes to this investigation.
A lot of people are afraid to use the T word, treason, but in the end, that's what people are investigating.
If there's any day to be watching Ari, it is today. Russia, Russia, Russia.
A lot going on.
Now, what's been playing out here is a coordinated effort by the media to smear, slander, besmirch President Trump with what they know now is a total fabrication. Now, we have seen nothing, I mean nothing, showing Trump-Russia collusion for over a year. Okay, don't take Sean Hannity's word for it. Forget me. All right? Many top-ranking Democrats, people in the intel community, have all said the same thing. This is a reminder for the destroyed Trump media. Take a look.
The allegation, of course, is that the Russians in the hacking and dumping of documents in the election had essentially relationships with Trump campaign people. But I'm not prepared to say that there's proof you could take to a jury.
Do you agree with this conclusion that the president has reached, that there was no evidence of collusion?
You know, we haven't seen any of that whatsoever, George. We've been looking and showing everything.
Facts, truth. They don't look for the truth anymore. They're believing at this point their own lies. I think many have actually convinced themselves with their destroy Trump mentality that their phony narrative is actually true without any evidence. Now, to help you understand exactly what's going on, I want to compare and contrast real facts, real evidence between a massive American scandal and so-called Trump-Russia collusion. Here's what the media is ignoring. Let's compare and contrast. Hillary Clinton, we know, broke the law by having a secret, top secret, special access program and classified information on her server. U.S. Code 18, USC Code 1870, whatever. There's a million laws. We put them up on the screen many times. Clinton broke the law when she deleted 33,000 subpoenaed emails. Remember? And then just to make sure, she acid washed and bleach bit the hard drive so nobody could ever get them. And then Clinton broke the law when her aides were smashing the BlackBerries and mobile devices with a hammer. Do any of you at home do that? And then they turned over cell phones to the FBI, but those cell phones had no SIM cards. Those are facts, incontrovertible. Now, we found out, too, that Peter Strzok, James Comey, and others, remember, they put the fix in. Who writes an exoneration before an investigation, before you interview Hillary Clinton herself and 17 other key witnesses? And remember, they also changed the legal standard in their many exoneration letters. They took out the legal standard gross negligence and changed it to extreme carelessness. And then they altered references to Clinton's server being hacked by hostile actors. Well, that's put people's lives in jeopardy. And that allowed Hillary Clinton to stay in the presidential race. What we know there are facts. And we also know, according to Donna Brazile, Clinton controlled the DNC, rigged the primary against Bernie Sanders. Imagine if Donald Trump did it against 16 Republicans. Now, we discovered that Hillary Clinton tried to rig the general election. Remember? She used a lawyer to pay Fusion GPS over $12 million, create a phony Russian dossier full of lies and propaganda to influence the American people so she could rig that election. And now we're also learning that the Clinton bought and paid for dossier, and this is the scary part, was used by top Obama administration officials to obtain a FISA warrant to spy on an opposition party, the Trump campaign, in an election year, and then a president-elect. These are all facts. And new text messages have also exposed a massive bias from anti-Trump FBI officials, Strzok and Page. Remember? They called Trump an idiot, a lonesome human being, F Trump. And we know that Strzok and Page talked about the so-called insurance policy with who we believe is Andrew McCabe, who was fired today. And remember, July 1st, before they ever interviewed Clinton, before Comey ever came forward and went public on July 5th, they revealed that Loretta Lynch knew the fix was in the Clinton investigation. So let's see, Strzok and Page and McCabe and Comey and Loretta Lynch all knowing? Now, they were hesitant to investigate Hillary Clinton. We also learned because they thought she might win and retaliate against them. Those are facts. Those are real text messages, and it's only a small sampling of what has been released. There is evidence showing and proving all of this. So what does the media have to prove as it relates to Trump-Russia collusion a year later? Nothing. No evidence. No facts. They're basing everything on nothing but their own conspiracy theory in their own little media bubble. We have been giving you facts. We have been telling you the truth. And the media has been proven to be pathological liars at a level we've never seen before in history. They have become tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists at the highest levels. The media is now married to this phony narrative, and they cannot let it go. And by the way, they're massive hypocrites. They don't care about truth. They obviously don't care about equal justice under the law, nor do they care about the Constitution of the United States, because if they did, they would be reporting all of the facts that we just gave you. Here with reaction, we have the host of Justice, Judge Jeanine Pirro, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, former Deputy Assistant to the President, Fox News National Security Strategist Sebastian Gorka. We got to start with you. Your breaking new news tonight about Andrew McCabe. Let's start there and work our way back.
What we know tonight is that FBI Director Christopher Wray went Sunday and reviewed the 4-page FISA memo. The very next day, Andrew McCabe was asked to resign. Remember, Sean, he was planning on resigning in March. That already came out in December. This time, they asked him to go right away. You're not coming into the office. I heard reports he didn't even come in for the morning meeting, that he didn't show up.
A source of mine told me tonight that when Wray read this, it shocked him to his core.
Shocked him to his core. And not only that, the Inspector General's report, I have been told tonight by a number of sources.
1.2 million pages already handed over to Congress.
Correct, 1.2 million pages. But there's indicators right now that McCabe may have asked FBI agents to actually change their 302s. Those are the interviews with witnesses. So basically, every time an FBI agent interviews a witness, they have to go back and file a report.
Change it, that would be what? obstruction of justice and against the law.
Exactly. Obstruction of justice. This is something that the Inspector General is investigating. If that is the case, if this is true, and not just alleged, if this is true, McCabe will be fired. I heard they are considering firing him within the next few days if this turns out to be true.
Sebastian, as you take all of this in, as you absorb all of this, it's kind of, for some, it's hard to believe. But now the evidence has been mounting and mounting and mounting, and one smoking gun after another. It's incontrovertible at this point.
It is, but it has to be put in the context of the history of our great nation. Remember, why was America created? It was created because of the usurpation of power, the capricious usurpation by a leader thousands of miles away. That's why America was created. It was about tea tax. It was about stationing troops on private property without permission. This is 100 times bigger. This is our government spying on political adversaries. This is federal law enforcement officials obstructing justice. You listed all the things Clinton did and all the things her team did. But let's not forget, the FBI destroyed the laptops that were part of the Clinton investigation. Who gave that order?
Hey, who has an exoneration before an investigation?
Right.
The fix it because they wanted Hillary to remain. All right, Judge, let me go to you. You're great on the law. I know you've been very passionate on your own show on this. Let's break this down.
All right. You know, what we're seeing here, Sean, is what we would expect to see in a third world country, where a political party is using their justice system to not only surveil individuals, but to change the course of a presidential election. This is not just, you know, some case where people are, you know, playing around with statements, trying to get them to change statements. This is about changing the course of American history by using the most powerful weapon that we have in the justice system, the federal anyway, the FBI. I have been saying from the beginning, Sean, this guy McCabe needs to be taken out in cuffs. They should not be paid by the American people. He shouldn't be able to dictate when he's going to leave. And by the way, I have to say one thing. You know, Sean, you just said that Christopher Wray was shocked when he read that 4-page memo. You know what? How could he be shocked? He's the head of the FBI. Everything that you and I have seen that we've been talking about for the last year has been something that has been corroborated factually. And now all of a sudden he's shocked? Why are they shocked on the day before the public is going to get to see this information?
I'm not
assuming the president lets it out. They knew about it, and now they're caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and now they have to say, oh, we're going to make McCabe go, and maybe more charges.
Listen, the reason that this will be coming out, and I'm glad that the White House told me tonight that they will be deliberative, that they're taking it seriously, they're not rushing out with it. Obviously, the State of the Union tomorrow, I'm hoping we'd see this by Wednesday night or Thursday. But they're doing the right thing, because this is not a game. We are talking about people's lives. We're talking about potential crimes. We're talking about people being charged, going to jail. But more importantly, and the scary part of this, and I'll throw this to Sarah for more information, is that we have now weaponize the powerful tools of intelligence. FISA is important because that means that's our government spying on citizens. And if Hillary's bought and paid for dossier was the foundation to do this, wow.
And it was a very shoddy foundation.
To influence a presidential election.
A duly elected president of the United States, voted for by the people of this country. Sean, this is bigger than anything anybody can imagine.
And when you say that, this makes Watergate like stealing a Snickers bar from a drugstore.
Absolutely. And think about this. This is why there were so many whistleblowers, Sean. Not even just the whistleblowers that were going to the Inspector General, to the House Intelligence Committee. But think about this. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Court chided the Obama administration. We broke those stories last year. Remember that?
Of course.
We
this
broke
has been a year.
They chided the Obama administration for violating the laws.
Yes.
And this is where it all started.
Yeah, Dr. Barker.
There's a very special reason why America doesn't have an internal security service. We don't have a KGB. We don't even have an MI5. Think about that. A lot of people after 9/11 said, we need to have an internal security service to spy on Americans. And we said, no, it's un-American. What have we just heard? That the Obama administration used the intelligence community for political purposes.
And with a bought and paid for opposition dossier of lies. All right, you get the last word tonight, Judge Janine.
You know, one of the things that we have to worry about going forward is, as the evidence is out there, and my hat is off to Sarah Carter, to the Hill, John Solomon, all those guys, but we need a prosecutor in the Justice Department. Yeah. We need a prosecutor in that Justice Department, not Rod Rosenstein, who right now is in the middle of all this,
Judge,
and in the middle of
we
Uranium
need a special
One.
counsel. We need it yesterday. We need it
so what
appointed.
is everyone waiting for, Sean?
I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know. It's a scary night, but there's going to be a lot of news all week long. We are part of a small group of people. I'll add John Solomon. I'll add Greg Jarrett. I'll add Tom Fitton. I'll add Joe DeGeneva and Victoria Tunsing. Anybody I'm missing?
Chris Farrell.
Chris Farrell.
And I will say Freedom Caucus members and some others. Not a lot of them. Ron DeSantis, Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan.
Right.
Sad. The media's been lying to you. We've caught them. When we come back, Kellyanne Conway. By the way, they have us doing the show in the cold. It's freezing. That's a real open, cold air back there behind me. We'll continue from the swamp straight ahead. From the swamp, the sewer that is Washington, D.C., joining us now at the big reaction to breaking news tonight, counsel to the president, Kellyanne Conway. Good to see you. How are you?
I'm great, Sean.
You like it? We didn't give you any heat. They actually, they handed me a heated seat, and I'm like, give it to the guests. I don't need a heated seat. Welcome back. This is not small. You've been in the White House for the entire year. There's no evidence of this collusion narrative of the media. I've watched you try and fight with these idiots over on the whole network.
How about when I held up the papers on your show? They're so easily baited. Collusion, delusion, collusion, no collusion. And here we are 6 months later, still.
But here we are also.
But it's a very serious matter now, of course. People should be outraged at what
we know the fix was in on Hillary's email so she could keep running. We know the people involved. We have the text messages. And then we know that her paid-for dossier was used to spy on an opposition candidate and an incoming president. This isn't funny.
Look, I want to make something very clear. The president went to Quantico last month. He respects greatly the rank and file of the FBI, the 25,000 or so men and women who work very hard and who are not involved in this particular episode. We are just processing the memo at the White House. The president will look upon it very deliberatively. He takes it very seriously. But at this moment, we should just leave it to those who are going out and investigating and making some new facts known, as some of your guests are doing, so that the American people can at least have the transparent, accountable way to decide what they see here.
The president.
We're focusing on that man in the White House giving a speech right behind us in the Capitol tomorrow.
There's a big story to tell that, again, I have to go back to the media. They have never told it. They've never talked about, we have 2.2 million new jobs, 2 million fewer people on food stamps, consumer confidence through the roof, 2 quarters of 3+% GDP growth, and the tax plan kicks in February 1.
Well, let's keep going. Even before it, quote, kicks in, Sean, you have, as of this morning, 274 employers, companies, taking action directly related to that tax plan.
No, they're crumbs, according. I was poor in my life, in my adult life. Crumbs is $1,000 or $2,000 to.
Well, that's according to Nancy Pelosi. It sounded much like that comment, the deplorables. I mean, they're just so out of touch. They're so out of the mainstream, so out of touch with America. Tonight, the Senate rejected, the Democrats rejected an ability to put into law the pain-capable bill where you would ban abortions after the 20th month when a fetus can feel pain. They're so out of touch with America, calling that crumbs. It's real bread, lady. It's not crumbs. What's the real bread? $1,000, $2,000 bonuses, raises in wages, but also you see all these companies repatriating their wealth now, agreeing to create new jobs here.
All the factories coming back, all the manufacturing
over
centers.
200,000 manufacturing jobs created. And Sean, this is very simple. In 2010, when the Democrats lost control of the House, Nancy Pelosi was no longer the speaker and likely won't be again. Barack Obama went on to be successfully reelected, but he even admitted that they had suffered a shellacking. But they were all trying to defend their votes for Obamacare, and that was becoming increasingly unpopular. This year, the Republicans are going to brag about their vote for tax cuts and what it means to the American people. So far, you have over 3 million Americans who have directly benefited from that tax cut because of what their employers have done. And the pressure is on other employers now. If you don't go ahead and reinvest that money in your workforce, in your workplace, those workers will go somewhere else. We are becoming a nation of jobs and labor.
We have, since the history of them taking demographics on unemployment, the lowest unemployment level for Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, women, 17-year low.
Teens is down.
I mean, it's amazing.
And it's incredible. And the reason you don't hear it is because people are focusing on other things, but it almost doesn't matter, and I'll tell you why. Folks know that their 401ks are fatter. They know their confidence is up and they're spending more money. They know that the value of their retirement savings or education savings. This president's tax bill expands the 529 savings plan through education. That allows you to save money earlier for your children.
Got very little coverage.
It gets very little coverage, but we're going to continue to talk about it because that's key. And what are people going to ask me? How do we get women? How talk about the education savings expansion? This is what people care about. But this president, between the regulations, the taxation, ISIS is on the run. What he's done in one short year to stimulate this economy, to keep us safer, and to make us prouder is really remarkable.
But back to our top story. Andrew McCabe is gone. This memo is going to be released. I'm told it will shock the conscience. Then you have an investigation fixed on top of her primary, Hillary Clinton's primary, but an investigation obviously fixed when crimes were committed. No wonder people were shouting, lock her up. But it gets worse than that. Then her phony Russian dossier used as a foundation to get a warrant to spy on Donald Trump and his campaign and an incoming president. This, to me, is the biggest political scandal in American history.
Sean, you know what happens when we talk about the 2016 elections and that woman who lost miserably, who should have won, whose name I'm not allowed to say on TV anymore, her. They say you just can't get over the election. We're way past it. But this is not about an election that Donald Trump won. And
about our Constitution.
It's about democracy and the Constitution. It's about people being able to know if justice and democracy has been subverted. And when you go through all of that evidence and you go through all of the revelations, you scratch your head yet again. And you're thinking this woman had every advantage, all the king's horses, all the king's men, all the money, all the personnel.
All the media.
And still blew it. Well, you know, famously, people were telling her, gosh, I just was in Michigan and Wisconsin. There's Trump Penn signs everywhere. There's no Hillary signs. You better get out here. But they didn't come.
Kellyanne, I know you're working hard every day.
Really proud of the president. It's going to be a great State of the Union address tomorrow. Everybody should watch it. Very positive.
We'll be on immediately thereafter. I hope people will tune in. All right, when we come back, Ed Henry has a preview of that State of the Union address. Britt Hume weighs in on our top story of the day as we continue from our nation's capital. First State of the Union address tomorrow night at the Capitol building, that one right behind me in the cold, live from the White House with a preview of the president's speech is Fox News chief national correspondent. You know, how unfair is it for me to whine about the cold when you're out in the cold every night?
Yeah, Sean,
you should tell me to shut up, Hannity, and just, you know, stay in the comfort of your warm studio.
I would never tell you to shut up, Sean, although I will reveal to our audience you have a cushy tent and little heaters and probably some blankies and all the rest.
Oh, my God. Really? Go ahead. I don't have an overcoat on, though. Give me credit. And they took away the heat warmer.
Look, the bottom line is that we're told by the president's aide, Sean, that the president stayed back here at the White House over the weekend after that trip to Davos instead of going down to Florida and Mar-a-Lago because he wanted to work on his first ever State of the Union address. And he spent a chunk of his time today, in fact, going through some of those edits from the weekend. You'll remember last year at this time, he gave a speech to a joint session. It's just not called a State of the Union technically in your first year in office. And the president himself told reporters today he sees this as a big speech, get the focus for the nation back on his legislative agenda. And his advisors are saying there are really 5 key pillars to this address: jobs in the economy, infrastructure, a plan that we've been waiting on for a long time, immigration, obviously has been dominating the headlines, trade, another big issue dating from the campaign, as well as national security and the fight against ISIS. Now, a special focus on immigration, because remember, the clock is ticking on that deal to deal with DACA. And what is clear from what the president told reporters today is that he understands politically Republicans don't have the votes to go it alone here to actually beef up border security. So he's going to issue a challenge, we're told, in the State of the Union address tomorrow night to Democrats to say, look, I'm going to deal with you on DACA if you end the visa lottery program, if you give me some funding for the wall. He laid it all out today. Watch.
For many years, they've been talking immigration. They never got anything done. We're going to get something done. We hope it's got to be bipartisan. because the Republicans really don't have the votes to get it done in any other way. So it has to be bipartisan. But hopefully the Democrats will join us, or enough of them will join us, so we can really do something great for DACA and for immigration generally.
And this is obviously an opportunity for the president to try to build on the momentum from the tax cut, which is how he ended last year. But with all the investigations, the FBI controversies, the Mueller probe, he has not gotten that legislative agenda back on track so far this year. Obviously, with millions watching tomorrow night, it's an opportunity to do that. Back to you, Sean, in that cushy tent.
All right, Ed. It's not really that cold out. I like to complain and act like I used to build houses in the freezing cold. I don't know.
That was a long time ago.
All right. Thank you so much, Ed Henry. Joining us now is Fox News senior political analyst Britt Hume. Britt, let's go to the top story here. So you have the House Intelligence Committee. They released this memo. It's now going to go to the White House. My sources told me tonight that the president, the White House, will be very deliberative. They're going to take this very seriously. There's no rush to get it out. They want to know exactly what is in this first.
Well, that's what the process calls for. And of course, there's always the possibility, Sean, that when the president and his advisors look at it, and they're probably going to hear from the Department of Justice that this information, or the implications of this information coming out, that this summary would contain, would be damaging to sources and methods of intelligence gathering, and it therefore should not be made public. I have a hunch, however, that what will happen is they'll look at it and they'll say, no, this isn't going to hurt anything. It doesn't contain the underlying raw intelligence upon which it's based. So we'll probably, within a week or so, we're going to see this memo, and then we'll know what the real deal is.
Britt, look, you've been around Washington a long time. I'm now in my 23rd year here at Fox, 30 years on radio. I have a lot of sources, as you do, and every single person that I know that saw this memo, they use words like explosive, shock to conscience, will be a political earthquake. It's only the beginning. In other words, that there's a lot more that they know is coming that will follow. What are your sources telling you?
Well, what I'm sensing about this, Sean, is that this is going to be interesting, and that there's very likely going to be outlined here abuses of our intelligence processes and the use of the FISA court. But I want to wait till I see it. One thing of being in Washington a long time has taught me is that very few things live up to their hype. And there certainly has been a considerable amount of hype about this. And so I'm curious to see it, but I'm going to withhold judgment about how explosive it is, or how damaging it is until I see it.
Look, you've been around this town a long time. Here's what we do know. I mean, it is scary when Donna Brazile, though, says that the primary against Bernie Sanders was rigged. It does get scary when you read these text messages between Strzok and Page, and we know an exoneration was written months before an investigation in terms of Hillary's emails. It gets a little scary when one candidate pays for a Russian dossier with salacious, phony details, and that could be used as a FISA warrant to spy on an opposition candidate. Well, at that point, when does the media begin to cover this? You know many in the media in this town.
The media in this town are interested, for the most part, most of the media in this town are interested in one story, and that is the Russia story. And for a long time, the focus of it was whether there was collusion, as you know, between the Russian government and the Trump campaign. The absence of any visible evidence of that seems to have cooled that story off a little bit, and now they're on to obstruction of justice being a possibility here. The media in Washington cannot stand Donald Trump. They can't stand the sight of him. They would like to see him brought down. There's no doubt in my mind about that. And I think, that when we look at it, I am not prepared to believe that Bob Mueller's investigation will not, in the end, in its conclusions, be fair. I think it's reasonable to say, Sean, that he made some mistakes in some of the people that he hired and FBI agents that he used to help conduct this investigation. But I'm still not prepared to believe that in the end this guy is going to come out with a slanted report or a flimsy report with accusations that will not hold up under scrutiny. At the same time, however, I believe there's every chance that we may find out some serious misconduct in the FBI and the Justice Department during the latter stages of the Obama administration and the beginning of this one. And I think that bears serious investigation as well, although I am not, Sean, a fan of having another special counsel. They always end up being unaccountable and out of control, and they wander very far afield from their original missions, and I think they're a bad idea, and I was glad when the independent counsel statute was allowed to lapse, and I wish this special counsel process had not been used in the case of Mr. Trump either.
All right, Britt Hume, always great to have you, great perspective. We always love having you on the program. Thank you, sir. When we come back, Sean Spicer, Ari Fleischer, they weigh in on today's big blockbuster top story. Straight ahead.